Hi, my name is Margaret Mordahl. Welcome to my channel, Virtue Lies in the Middle, where we discuss current topics and try to remain as balanced as possible. So today we're going to be talking about trad wives. The trad wife trend was started on TikTok in the early 2020s. It is an aesthetic that emulated the 1950s housewife. Cute, flowery house dresses, curled hair, perfectly done makeup. But beside the cute look, the trad wife trend also promoted trad wife values, such as traditional gender roles like wives submitting to their husbands and wives depending on their husband's income while they stay at home to cook, clean, and care for children. Now, these ideas are nothing new. They've been around forever, hence the name traditional. When I was growing up, we just called it a stay-at-home mom. But the trad wife aesthetic is definitely something a bit more involved than the normal stay-at-home mom. When I think stay-at-home mom, I get a picture in my mind of like a bathrobe and curlers in her hair, or maybe a t-shirt and jeans, toast for breakfast, peanut butter sandwich for lunch. She's driving her oldest to soccer with her arm over the back seat, holding a barf bag for the sick kid in the back. Not the most romantic or glamorous existence. But with the trad wife, all that changed. Enter the era of romance, of whimsy, of charming, colorful, flowery dresses, of an immaculate kitchen, of delicious, highly curated meals. Or perhaps your algorithm takes you the homestead route instead. There you find long, flowing hair, long, flowing dresses, fresh sourdough, homemade strawberry jam, a garden, chickens, you name it. Now, I am the last person to sneer at inspiration or romanticizing your life. Staying at home with little children and housekeeping can be a very dreary, humdrum existence for some. So a reminder to dress up, to find beauty in your life, to make your life beautiful, to find hobbies that fulfill you and sustain and nourish your families. This stuff is not going to be put down by me. However, the thing I do take exception to is when trad wife content creators tell women that they do not work or have a job because the husband should be the sole provider for the family. Their job is homemaking and he is providing. Now, while I agree with this sentiment, more or less, we'll talk more about that in a sec, I don't like when these trad wives say it because they are being hypocritical. They absolutely are working. Content creation is a job. Especially the bigger channels are absolutely making an income off social media, so their husband is not sole provider. But here's the deal. People are saying, if you want to be a trad wife, you cannot have a job. I would like to know where in heaven's name they got that idea. Traditionally, working class women have always worked to help support their families. I mean, even going back to the Middle Ages, you have the baker's wife or the cobbler's wife. They are helping out in the family business, tending the shop, helping customers, cleaning the shop, baking bread, etc. Through the ages, you have the farmers' wives working out in the fields with their babies strapped to their backs, bringing produce to the market, or maybe you tending a roadside stand. You have washerwomen, cleaning women, charwomen, seamstresses, lace makers. All throughout history, you see women working when necessary to bring in additional income. But those are key words there. When necessary. I do think a mother working to bring in income is not ideal. No matter what job it is going to be a distraction and take away from a woman's primary duties, tending the home, raising her children. So the more part-time that job is and the less it takes her out of the home, the better. The thing is, most families nowadays abuse the when necessary part. Mom has a full-time office job not because they're barely scraping by, have 6 kids, and live in a fixer-upper in Iowa, but because they have 2 kids, live in LA, and want to go on a couple vacations every year and drive the newest cars. Not my idea of necessary. But maybe they do have 2 kids. They're both in school and mom's going crazy at home all day. A small part-time job that leaves her enough time and energy to still tend the home and be there for her husband and kids might be ideal in that situation. So I'm not exactly against women working to supplement the family income. What I'm against is telling women not to work whilst simultaneously bringing in an income. What I am also against is saying the term trad or traditional means women not working, when it has in fact been much more traditional for women to work and help with the family business. I like the trad wife aesthetic. I think it's fun, cute, and inspiring. But what I don't like is Pearl Davis or other red pillars saying there's no such thing as a traditional woman anymore. Like, what does that even mean when you say that? What does traditional woman even mean to you? I don't like how the term traditional has become a way to shame women for not adhering to guidelines that were made up 20 minutes ago. So, those are my thoughts. That's all I have for you today, and I'll catch you in the next video.